The world is sinking, but Africa is rising. It's time for Africa to turn the tide of political conflict, economic uncertainty, and moral decadence. The time is now for Africa to arise and rebuild. Inspire E-Conference 2023 will give you the tools and strategies to be part of Africa's rebuild. Join us online this August from Monday the 7th to Saturday the 12th from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. East African time as we gather the brightest minds across the continent to discuss the rebuilding of Africa. Book your slot today and be part of the movement that will change Africa forever. Africa, arise and build.
Let's hear from one more panelist today. He's a friend of mine. He's one of the funniest people and one of the most fun people to hang out with, despite his gray hair. And he is a seasoned leadership and management consultant with a diverse career spanning senior management positions and program development for organizations. He's got expertise in organizational strengthening. He's worked with senior and middle management, program development officers. He has an extremely amazing ability to facilitate organizational development assignments and events as well. And owing to his extensive knowledge of organizational operations and critical analytical skills, he's been able to serve in many places, including at the moment, several local and international boards, further showcasing his commitment to organizational growth. Besides his consultancy work, our next panelist passionately pursues three core passions: personal development, strategic planning, as well as instructional materials writing. And his engaging and energetic style as an inspirational speaker, as you're about to find out, has earned him some recognition. His philosophy as a speaker is to leave behind practical tools and models so that his audiences can feel empowered to continue their development journey independently. He's also a devoted family man and is married to a beautiful woman called Helen. And they've decided they're only going to have girls, so they have 3 daughters. And he also holds a bachelor's degree in sociology, a master's in demography, and is currently pursuing studies in transformational leadership, as well as a master's in demography. So now, welcome with me to Inspire Synergy 2023, David Kabiswa. David, always good to be with you. Welcome to Inspire 2023.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you as well for the invitation. And without taking much time, I don't know if you noticed, but in the chat, I changed my name. Many people do not know that my middle name is George. So when I realized that the majority of the people there was George, I said, why not? That might be one of the ways of catalyzing the human capital redevelopment in Africa. So thank you. An interesting evening. I've been listening a lot, and I feel that some good stuff has been said. So I was also thinking through which of my slides I would jump. I want to take an approach, and I've been reading a little bit in the chat as well. And basically, there is pain, all right? And the pain very many times looks at what is the situation, what is the context, what. And I sense that we do seem to know what to do, but sometimes maybe are unable to do it. I looked at an article today, and these are some of the things that struck me. This is an article. It was fostering learning between Europe and Africa, and these are some of the things that they observed. The article is called "Lack of Skilled Human Capital in Resource-Rich Africa: The Real Paradox." They call it a paradox because over these days we've all heard. We don't doubt that Africa has this potential. We don't doubt. Even the last speaker, George, has just said, in fact, as you, Ben, who said, you know, the average age, the mean age shows potential, all right? But then we also probably realize that that same age group is lacking some of the things to maybe to put them as a position of being able to run the minerals, the oil of this nation, the other, potential that we have, the environment, okay? But in this article, they also realized that some of these things at the time, one of the challenges we're having is that there's no specialized training. It's interesting. When tallow came into this country, they needed Tallow Oil, the company, to start drilling They needed welders. And despite the number of welders we have in this country, they found none that could do welding in an oil environment. Why? A lot of our welders, and some of you have seen, when you look at something that's been welded, there's always a little bit of the edge which shows you, yeah, this has been welded. But you see, if you're in an oil industry, you can imagine a metal moving over that thing. That might be a spark. So that could cause a fire. So our welders did not qualify, all right? So they had to take about 200 welders to take them another country, so that they could qualify to weld in the petroleum industry, all right? But some of our challenges exist in, those two bold bullets there. Low incentives for skills development and high elite interests. Some of the things we know, but there are blockages there. And some of the blockages might just be the clash of interests with national political elites. Some people want to benefit, all right? When they talk about the case of Central African Republic, when Bokassa was there, he took all the highly qualified people and then replaced them with people from his tribe, such that, it kept the industry at a level where only they could benefit. In Congo Brazzaville, we've had certain similar situations in the aspect of oil. In Gabon, we've had that kind of stuff, all right? There are also challenges of self-preservation, and the list goes on, all right? That's part of the pain, all right? And we can't, get there too much. It's already been said. It is imperative to invest in human capital. It is imperative. It is imperative. We say it, we say it, we say it. Many years ago, when the president, I remember him having a discussion and wondering why the people at the university could not change the curriculum. We're spending more courses in humanities, we're taking people into humanities, and not focused on where the country is going. Many years ago, in the days when we were younger, and my people like our parents were in government, we were told that the East African Development Community used to do what they called labor forecasting. They would know how many people are needed in architecture in the region. Then the intakes of those universities would be limited to that number. How many human resources do we need? There was some kind of centralized planning. In the chat, I noticed that also somebody asked that, okay? When we're talking Africa, somebody asked, is there going to be a centralized, who's going to do the centralized planning? And we probably know that there isn't, okay? But we do know that at levels of African Union, these sorts of discussions happen. Will they get down to be implemented at the country level? Probably, all right? So my solution now, one of the things that I want to tease our minds on is that we have a relook at leadership. And part of the relook of leadership is basically going to mean, like one person put it, Robin Sharma put it, leadership without a title. I am talking now to the people on this call, and it is you that I'm calling the leaders. The 215 people on this call, it is you that I'm calling the leaders. And what can we do? I'm going to use this by giving some tools, and I'm hoping that when you get this presentation, or you can, if you've got a phone, you can take some screenshots as we move along. It is this. This model, this framework comes from a book called Good to Great. And the line which is horizontal and then goes up basically says that many companies, many countries, maybe it can even be applied to countries who are in the ordinary zone, Then there's some red box there in the middle. Something happened in that red box, and then the trajectory started changing. Things started going up. This model gives us hope that things can happen. What did they find out? In that model, they found out those three black things: disciplined people, disciplined thinking, disciplined action. Should it necessarily be linear? Maybe, maybe not. Part of the session we've had earlier on, we talked about the brutal facts. We talked about the brutal facts. What's happening? The population, the lack of thing, the crime, the laziness. Those are brutal facts. All right? But my proposal and proposition, and I'll touch three elements, is that the kind of leadership that you have, I'll take that about leadership. I'll talk about focus, which is in the area of disciplined thinking, and then momentum. Now that cycle shows that under the disciplined people, the quality of leader is crucial. And then the people, who, which person, which position, We've heard about a round, a round pin in a square hole. How do you make sure it's a square pin in a square hole? Okay. Now remember, this is a model, it's a framework. It can be used by you in your workplace, it can be used by you in your home, it can be used and can also be taken at the government level. So the aim here is that we see how to operationalize this model and not think it's just for those that's out there and that the solutions will come from out there. That round circle there is very, very crucial. It's called the flywheel. And that's the thing about momentum. It basically means we've got to do it, keep doing it. And as we keep doing it, things will get better. Leadership. The first thing we're going to look at is leadership. And I've got a few slides there. Some people have heard about the level 5 leader. Now, a level 5 leader, take it to mean a leader par excellence, a leader that is beyond the leaders that we have here. Okay. Now, in that book, they didn't quite use the term servant leadership, but they found out that the people that take organizations to the next level, people that take cities to the next level, people that take institutions to the next level are people that have demonstrated what we can call an X factor. For those of you that follow music, all right? These are people that have level 5. And the level 5, in terms of bullet 3, it is people that have humility mixed with a strong professional will. I want to suggest to you that part of Africa's problem is the quality of leaders that we have. All right? And it can be debated. Now, servant leadership or the level 5 leadership basically means that your primary desire is that it comes from a servant heart. But then that servant heart drives you to do something about, I must get into a leadership position to make these things happen. Servant leaders desire results with such tenacity. They are professional, no doubt, but they make sure that the people they're working with want to work where they're working with. All right? Many of our leaders, they are bosses in character. They've got what we call a huge power distance. We will not go far in Africa with that kind of leadership. That's my proposal to you. If you're that kind of leader, let's rethink. Let's rethink. We leave such a huge power gap and people, so we're always recreating the wheel, always recreating the wheel. Now, upping the stakes. To up the stakes, I'm proposing to you the servant leadership model. In the image there, you can see that yes, we come from a certain culture, we've got certain strategies, but there are some 7 pillars in this particular model that would take and transform an organization, transform a nation, transform whichever place they put you in, even in a church environment. Okay, they can transform to team, customers, and community. The key thing there, I'd want to just pick on pillar number 5 and 6, foresight. They have said foresight is one of the critical things that takes leaders to the next level. Foresight is one of the critical things. You and I on this call, on a scale of 1 to 5, how do we relate in terms of foresight? Are we people with foresight? Are we people that are just looking and being told, what to do? All right. Another critical thing is systems thinking. Systems thinkers don't highlight problems. They're more positive and looking at what solutions can happen. So I'm proposing to us, we must up the stakes from an individual level to develop a servant leadership mentality. In upping those stakes, I'm proposing the following: a minimum requirement. If you've not read any of these books, you must. I was even glad that one of them I put up. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Please, it has been said that tried anything from an African, put it in a book. We must move from there. Even the people that are talking, many of the people that out there are talking about high capacity and stuff like that, they're not readers. They're not readers. They go for training, they get something, and then they try to pass it down, then they run empty. We have to change. Now, for action points, under that section of leadership, that's my proposal. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a must read. The Leadership Challenge, a must read. Good to great to see, those sorts, at least as entry level. Then you can go and do others. Leadership. The second tenet I want to propose as we think through a lot of these things, at individual level, even at country level, can be applied even at things like national development programs and stuff like that. I've called it focus. Focus. If Arise Africa, if we're to arise and shine, we must focus. All right? Now, in terms of focus and execution, we know that's something called a whirlwind. There are many things, many places in the air. Like some girls, when you're younger, you played with, many balls bouncing in the air. There are many. Even somebody asked in the chat there, what do we start with? Yeah, that's the question for everybody. I want to propose to you that there's methodology whereas the whirlwind still continues, all right? You can't stop it because the factors even beyond your control. How do you get a semblance of focus, a semblance of stability, a semblance of what you can catch and take it to the next level? There's a goal there to take a man to the moon and bring him back safely by the end of the decade. That was a goal given by the President JFK to NASA. If it had been a longer presentation, I'd have shown you what objectives NASA had, goals it had 8. And when the president listened, he said, he focused it on that. They're talking about exploration of the outer spheres, being the pioneer in this, being ahead of whatever vehicles they're going to make, whatever scientific research, and it just boiled it down to that. Focus releases energy. My proposal to us here is to get some kind of focus. All right? Yes, we've said all these sorts of things. In your sphere of influence, get some kind of focus. The whirlwind continues. Focus. What do I want to do? X. By when? I want to move X to Y. By when? By Z. All right? It is very simplified here, but I'm saying, instead of us, because sometimes we can ask questions that paralyze us. You ask who's going to do this, and by the question, by the time it leaves your mouth, you're fatalistic. We're saying the kind of human capital we're going to develop. Yes, it can be this, that they need school. And we know people here that are doing a lot of things in schools and stuff like that, which is good. They have focused schooling, education, schooling. They've done vocational. They're focused with the gifting and purpose and the way God made them. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. We are knit together. What God gave them, they have taken it to that level. What's my challenge? Upping our game. In your context, we are talking Africa, we're talking Arise Africa, but Arise Africa is going to be done by how we take care of the little things. There's an expression that says, take care of the cents and the shillings will take care of themselves. Of course, it's not shillings, it's dollars. Take care of the cents and the dollars will take care of themselves. I am proposing to you, take care of your corner and we shall start sorting Africa out. Don't get paralyzed by the bigger things. If you happen to be in those positions which can tackle those big things, tackle. All right? Again, they're upping your game. Upping your game in terms of focused execution. I challenge you, read the book 4 Disciplines of Execution. We must have a caliber of Christians as well that are called to and sought after to come and inform governments. All right? Third component, scale, 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 scale. And I've called it the flywheel. My proposal to us in the Inspire, all right? The flywheel that I showed you in the beginning, it shows that you will do something. As you do it more, you get better at it and the efficiencies increase, but you must be consistent. When you look at the bottom, at the black things at the bottom there, the black boxes, they have one core word: discipline, 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 disciplined people, disciplined thinking, disciplined action. I think many times we lose it on the action. We sprint, get tired, we relax. We sprint, get tired. There are people that take things to the next level, persistently do this. In terms of countries, I can give you the example of Singapore. In one of the books that the former prime minister wrote, he wrote about how they used a bit of these things and the consistency of certain behavior that moved Singapore from a third world country to a first world. I will let you know that I am aware that people like in the neighboring countries around here, like Rwanda in particular, they are trying to follow after, they're modeling after Singapore. They have got people like Dambisa Moyo, some of those people, great thinkers on the continent, come speak to us so that we can go somewhere. Flywheel, momentum. To take Africa, from where it is to where we want it to be would require consistent action where you and I have a role to play. These ones are just images about what the momentum looks like in the context of the organizations, the social sector. Attract believers, build strength, demonstrate results, build brand, and let the thing keep on going on like that. And your NGO will move from a lower level to a higher level. All right. For the business sector, this is theirs. You know, you take steps consistent with your hedgehog, consistent. When the KCCA person here, Jennifer Musisi, tried to do something, trying to clean city, trying people to love the city, she, amidst all those things that could have been the whirlwind, she chose a few areas of focus. Then she got the results, then the roads and things like that. And you saw the results were tappets, okay? But of course, we also know we have challenges when new people can come in and they stop the flywheel or they even reverse it. So what's the take for us? Upping your game. Move from a personal purpose. All right, which I'm calling a hedgehog here. What has God called you to do? Are you doing it? Are you doing it well? Scale it up. It can move from a personal thing, it can move to scale, institutional. Your personal desire, you form an NGO, you form a CBO, it has moved to institutional. It gets even bigger, it gets organizational, it can get bigger. And in some of those things, I've given examples. Time doesn't allow, but I've given some examples. Down there, put about Rakai Coffee, a pastor who God called, and the pastor knew, I know one thing. What do you have in your hand? He knew how to do sponsorship. God said, okay, I want you to go back to Rakai, do coffee. He said, I don't know anything about coffee. God called him. As I speak in that particular situation, this person exports to Germany coffee, roasted coffee, not the core beans, all right? We heard about Mama Maria, that was Monday, all right? The school, all right? The vision, the catering thing, it grew. It became a hotel, it grew. It's become a series of other schools. And I'm told that they're also moving to Karamoja. What's your personal mission? How does it become institutional? Because that's how we scale. And we scale by things like systems. Some of you know about the Grameen model. The individual has changed Bangladesh. The individual, I repeat it. He started off by saying, how do I teach these men how to grow rice scientifically? And they did. They cheated him of his money, but he taught them how to do things scientifically. Then he went into banking and it scaled up. And the whole element of microfinance banking came from there. Brethren, what has God put on your heart that you can scale up? That's your sphere of control. That's what you can manage. How are we going to build human capacity? Some of you are people that can do businesses. You can employ. Yes, on Tuesday, yes, we had somebody. The houses that they're building, I think it was in Kenya, the Nairobi area. What are you doing? All right. We've seen other, and I've just talked about a few models. There are many others. But when we talk about building the appropriate human capacity development, when you do things in your corner and do them well, and do them to scale, all right? The coffee I've talked about, now that individual pastor is linking up with other Christians, all right? In the same denomination, now others are starting to go there, they're galvanizing. Maybe it's something that also, Pastor Laban is, is doing, how do you take it to scale? How do we take our things to scale? When we have models that people can follow, we shall lead the way. But very many times also from the Christian perspective, yes, we are playing catch up, not leading the way. My conclusion. The nature of human resource that Africa needs is going to be developed by a change in leadership. We could debate that every day. The quality of leaders we have just makes us go up and go down again. Go up and go down again. We need those that genuinely want people to succeed, because one, the Christ model, he invested in the disciples. He could go after that. And the movement has grown in 2,000 years. But if you want power surrounding you, we will come back and go back and talk about that thing, with Africa taking slower strides. Will it be go forward? Yes, it might, but slower strides than it could take. My second takeaway for you. Current initiatives that we have need to scale. All right, let's provide models. There's Bishop Masika, who did something in the Kenyan, between the border of Uganda and Kenya, to such a point that a drought-ridden desert area has become one of the exporting areas in Kenya. When people saw that, they put them on security committees in Kenya, they put them on some international, when we do things well and scale up, we will answer that question, because the economists know that the economic theory, but we've known it in books and it's not happening. Is God telling us, arise, shine, and build. My final one, and these are things that I've heard from some of the discussions this week. Company, that word has come up. Make a company. Can we as Inspire, scale, what would it mean? Is it a think tank? Where is this momentum taking us? Those are my thoughts for you. But as we think big picture, let's come and take care of the cents, and the cents will take care of the shillings. Thank you, and God bless.
The world is sinking, but Africa is rising. It's time for Africa to turn the tide of political conflict, economic uncertainty, and moral decadence. The time is now for Africa to arise and rebuild. Inspire E-Conference 2023 will give you the tools and strategies to be part of Africa's rebuild. Join us online this August from Monday the 7th to Saturday the 12th from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. East African Time, as we gather the brightest minds across the continent to discuss the rebuilding of Africa. Book your slot today and be part of the movement that will change Africa forever. Africa, arise and build.